Welcome to my third vlog for the St. Mary University regarding the coaching process. First of all, let's try to better understand what I'm going to talk about in this vlog. Research has attempted several times to outline and define this process, but most of the time it has ended up oversimplifying and losing its complexity, its dynamism, and its unpredictable nature. One of the dimensions in which little attention has certainly been paid is the social dimension, and how this is characterized by the quality of relationships and not much by the adequate sequentiality of the process. All this has created confusion among coaches who should leverage these concepts in their daily practice and not diminish the fundamental importance of the coaching process in the goal of maximizing athletic performance. Cushion et al. Have proposed 5 key features of the coaching process. The coaching process is not necessarily cyclical, but is continuous and interdependent. The process is continually constrained by a range of objectives that derive from the club, the coach, and the athletes involved. The process is a constantly dynamic set of intra and intergroup interpersonal relationships. These relationships are locally dialectical between and amongst agents and structure. The coaching process is embedded within external constraints, only some of which are controllable. A pervasive cultural dimension infuses the coaching process through the coach, club, and athletes and their interaction. Trying to translate all this in the most practical way possible, I would like to underline how the need for a definition shouldn't constrain coaches' choices, but should serve them in developing a critical thinking, in order to make conscious and intentional choices rather than based on tradition or uncritical ideas. Recent research has highlighted the complex reality and the fundamental importance of the context in modeling the coaching process. It should be never interpreted as an absolute, but rather like shifting sands constantly shaped by competing and complementary elements. In this second part, I will critically analyze my training session with an athlete. The first thing I usually do is ascertain the athlete's physical condition and hear her opinion on the daily session that I have already made known. The intention of involving the athlete in planning the subsequent training is done in order to use an inclusive teaching style to facilitate a degree of autonomy. I also try to take advantage of these phases to build rapport with the athlete in order to maximize performance gains. Reviewing the session, as it will be possible to see several times, I realized that I tend to expect to explain the exercise in detail verbally, when instead I could demonstrate it much more quickly, for example by reducing the administration times. If necessary, I could invest more time improving execution awareness during the recovery phases, or in any case, invest more time in practice. In this explanation, it came spontaneously, but not voluntarily, to demonstrate the requested gesture, and this already seems to have reduced the time necessary to transfer the information to the athlete. This should have made me think that this athlete probably learns better with demonstration than with verbal explanations. In an attempt to improve execution, the athlete loses one of the components, namely to make a short lunge. This makes me reflect on the usefulness and effectiveness of the information to be given to the athlete while she is performing the exercises. During this exercise proposal, it can be seen how an external focus of attention is effective in retaining the technical components even when the exercises change along the way. This is another of those occasions in which I could have demonstrated the exercise or in any case reduced the information given verbally, as the external focus of attention could already be more than sufficient and there was no need to provide further information relating to the positioning of the various body segments. Here is highlighted what I was saying before, i.e., my unproductive attempt to verbally explain how to perform the exercise, often focusing on the position of the various body components, when I could have simply demonstrated it practically and introduced external focus of attention. Here I am explaining another exercise and giving a lot of verbal information again. Once I show the exercise, it becomes immediately evident what I want to see from the athlete's execution. So once again, giving a lot of information and possibly risking overloading the athlete's cognitive and attention capabilities. I certainly could have modified the proposal during training as the athlete complained several times about her muscle soreness, especially at the quadriceps level. I realize this is more of a psychological difficulty of mine in trying not to deviate from the training plan as if was the best thing to do, when in reality it is the training that must be adapted to the needs of the athlete. When I limit myself to provide information, as you can see here, you still have an excellent transfer to the athlete even if I haven't provided much information. Also in this proposal, my need to provide a lot of information is urgent. But, as we will see, in a more complex exercise like this, the process of transferring all the information and therefore of learning can be affected by the amount of information itself. We have an indication that the athletes are able to retain up to 7 pieces of information, but give more weight to the first and last one. Here I give her a series of negative feedback that makes her visibly discouraged, and this is something that I don't want to happen. Since the execution did not satisfy me from several points of view, I decided to modify the request, proposing an exercise possibly more manageable by the athlete, but which would allow me to ideally obtain the same adaptation. I could probably have proposed this more accessible version right from the start. This makes me reflect on the importance of coaching process outside of the training session itself. In hindsight, reviewing the session, I noticed how I tend to ask, how is she feeling, more pain or discomfort related, instead of doing so to facilitate her attention on important sensations to build self-feedback. This issue may be related to my background as a physiotherapist. I should definitely be more aware of such a difference when I'm training an athlete. Having had the opportunity to watch myself while teaching in a training session allowed me to draw some ideas for improvement. First of all, I could have given more weight to the sensation of the athlete and adjusted the training program of the session. Probably the succession of training sessions was not adequate, and therefore I could have noticed earlier the need for a change in the succession of trainings. I should be more aware of my communication, reducing the amount of information and improving the quality of them in order to make the most of the time available.